Okay, so it's 6:55 on the 15th on Thursday. Yeah, Thursday now. Man, I can't believe how these weeks are just flying by. Shit. God dang. January's going to be over with soon. And Crystal made a good point. She said, I hope if there's going to be a big disaster, it's not going to be until until spring or summer, because the winter is just enough on its own, man. Yesterday even it was supposed to get sunny, and there's always these shadows in here. But I don't want to turn the lights on, and it's still dark outside, but I want to turn the lights on because the dog, I like it. I want it to be peaceful. I want them to sleep. But it was supposed to be sunny, and it was supposed to even get up to like 40 or 41 yesterday, and it was freezing, and I don't think it got out of the 20s, and everything is frozen. It looks like a frozen wonderland out there. And tumbleweeds are frozen, icicles all over them, and and then fog. The fog, it just doesn't even burn off at all. It just stayed foggy all day. It's been foggy here for days now, so I don't even know what today's gonna be. This morning I cut more off my hair. I just keep cutting it more and more and more. It's so funny too. It's because I'd grown it for so long. I hadn't cut my hair in like 10 years. And then for sure, like I think 2015. But it was already kind of long in 2015. But then I just stopped cutting it. So I hadn't cut it in such a long time. And then I went through all the whole thing with it, just kept falling out and falling out. And so sometimes I'd think, God, it just feels so thin. But now I have lots of hair growing in. So there's lots of hairs growing in. And I was like, I think I just want to cut it more so the hairs just grow back in anyways. And plus, sometimes you just need a change. I've been wearing my hair the same way for so long. And it can be uncomfortable and heavy, and like you're constantly getting your hair stuck. It's like, God, it feels kind of free for a while. And I don't know, probably just turn around and grow it again, because then it just gets kind of boring being the same all the time. But anyways, I've worn my hair in so many different ways throughout my time, and it was and my hair was kind of long. Like once in nursing school, I had to cut it real short. You either had to wear it up all the time, or you had to cut it short. And my hair was way too heavy. It used to be much thicker. It was way too heavy, and I couldn't handle wearing it up every day. And so I cut it. And there was even parts of the time where it was like cut super, super short. And and then once I got done with it and I let it grow, I just let it grow long. But then it kind of got stuck at a certain length. And so I thought, well, I guess my hair just stays at this length and doesn't really grow. But then all of a sudden it started growing again. But I think it was after I got off of all of those things that come on a white pad, then it started growing again, because also my blood vessels, like they were like deteriorating. They were just becoming little brown threads under every time you try and get blood drawn or something, it was an ordeal. It was like before I had like ropey, big old giant fat ones. And so anyways, now it's going back to being big fat ones. So some of this stuff just reverses, and it's so weird too how it is, because we're not really flesh and blood. It's like this weird thing, like our body is so tuned in to this realm, is so much a part of, like, it's like express back to us. It's like a feedback system into this realm. And so it gives us information, like, you're not doing well, you need to take care of this, you need to take care of that. And then when you do, it starts responding in positive ways. And at this time in the world, they have so many people who are following a darker path, following their advice, which is a dark path. Speaking of dark paths, something that really gets me is because, um, and I don't know if I had seen a video. Like I saw a video, like they're making a big deal now, like, you know, Hillary and Bill were called in to today's Hillary's turn. Bill just does a no-show. And so then it's going to be like, well, we'll see what Hillary does, which I'm sure she'll be a no-show. It's going to be some kind of drama. But it's all about, I think it's about, you know, why was Jeffrey at the White House so often? Why'd you go on that plane so often? So I think it's all about that kind of situation. And the so anyways, we'll see what it's like. Everything has got to be played into big drama, which right now the rain and the you know, that place over there that's, you know, like having the people go against them, and now they've like, is the word on the streets, like they've wiped out 20K of them. Like they're just out there just blasting them or something. And and they're just saying now, like, well, we tried to do him in before, but this time we're going to do it. So making like they've been trying to get rid of Donald, you know, permanently themselves. So they're becoming intertwined, and it's got to be, it's got to have to do with the money situation. So it's got to have to do with a petrol, you know, petrol dollar, petroleum, and the oil, and they, you know, and I think it's kind of weird because, so in 79 they were taken over, and it was like, I think it was like 76 or 77, like we had to wait in like gas lines, and there was like a shortage, and you could only get gas on the day, you could get it on even or odd or something, and it went by your license plate. And so you couldn't get gas on a day that wasn't your turn, and then people would have to wait in long lines and stuff. It was this big drama. But it seems like that must be when they started being more controlling or manipulating the oil or the dollar or something. It's gotta all be intertwined, especially with the drama that's going on, you know, and they're gonna get him and all this stuff. So there's gonna be more, I'm sure, that's gonna come out about the what's really going on behind the scenes. And it's always these certain people who are manipulating the economy, and then they're funneling money to themselves through dirty laundry. So it's a whole fucking thing happening. So I think everything is just trying to like to highlight the players, to kind of bring the people on stage so that we can start putting the pieces together. And so slowly it's building piece by piece by piece until all of a sudden the whole puzzle, you see the whole picture. And so, you know, I think they're just bringing all the players in. But or something, I was just, oh yeah, because I've seen this a couple times of people talking about airplane, airplane fuel, and that you, and then showing, okay, so they tell us that they put in like 600 tons of airplane fluid or something, which some of these planes weigh 600 tons. And maybe it's 60 tons. I don't know. But they say that they have to put in this huge amount of gas in order to get us from here to there. And that's why they got to keep charging us so much, because gas is so expensive. It's got to fall back on us. And so there's been lots of people who start saying, well, that doesn't make any sense. Have you ever seen a container that contains how much gas they're saying they're putting in there? And they're like, there's no freaking way. And so people start showing how big a container it is to fill, it holds that much gas that they're talking about. And it's huge. It's huge, huge. It's like, I guess, kind of, you know, like if you go through a town that still has a big water tower. So it's kind of like that, maybe even two of those, depending on how big a water tower you see. But like a big one. And that supposedly is how much they're putting into the plane. And they're like, well, where's it going? Like, in the plane people say, well, we put it in the wings. It's like, well, you put the wings up next to the thing. And it's like, there's no way it wouldn't fit. You guys are lying. And so there's been people who have been breaking through that lie for a while and talking about it. And I've run across their videos a few times. And so I ran, or it might have been Amy sent it, or I ran across it, I don't remember. But anyways, so this guy was talking about the fuel situation and that there's no way that they were putting that much in there. And then he was talking about the turbines. He was talking about the free energy. He was talking about old, not just, not coliseums, not, these old ancient places that, that they tell us are, made by these people a long time ago, but they are structurally more advanced than what we are now. And it's like not temples, but kind of like that, but these whole big buildings and stuff. But it's not just temples, but it probably, who knows what they were used for. But the one that they were showing was showing all of these like coliseums, and that they would move and you can spin them and stuff, and that how much they look like the turbines in the plane, and how there must be something to that, and about them being able to go up there, and if that's spinning, and what they're really using is the free energy that Tesla had talked about, which we're supposed to all be going on. And so he was talking about that you would think like, oh, well, this is way, how would they be able to keep this a secret? And so he's like, 3 companies own all the turbine production. There's only 3 companies. One of them is Rolls-Royce. One of them is 2 other ones. But I can't think of what they are. I could share the video. But so these 2 big name companies like Procter and Gamble, Rolls-Royce, and Nabisco or something. It's not those ones, but Rolls-Royce is one of them. I remember that. But so these big corporations, and they own the turbine manufacturing, and then they in turn are owned by the 2, the Vanguard and the BlackRock. So that is that's how intertwined it is. That's how they keep all of this information so closed in detail. Like, it probably has got so much of that. You got to have clearance for this and clearance for that. You got to sign NDAs and stuff like that. So, but the information spreads. Even if somebody knows something and they have to keep it quiet, energetically, we start picking up on it. Energetically, we touch each other's energy through our thought forms and stuff. And so nothing can really stay hidden. Like, they'd have to completely shut our brains off. And what they try and do is distract them. They try and get us to focus on what they want us to focus on. And this is the thing that's getting me lately, is you have all these people and they feel justified in their hate. They feel like, well, he's a bad guy and we're going to hate him. And for the rest of you stupid asses who don't hate him, you're just too stupid. And it's like, these people have no idea how low vibration that they are. They have no idea. It doesn't matter. If you want to focus on hate and division and focus on, somebody is the problem and they got to be taken out and stuff like that, that is low vibration. It's super low. And there's going to be all these events that are going to keep getting them to see, so that they can start to, I think the big thing is like, to ask yourself, to question yourself, like, why do I feel this way? Why do I get so upset about this? Why do I get so pulled in? Because that's the part of you that you got to work on. You got to heal. And I got my own stuff to work on, believe you me. Man, the energy has been so fucking intense. It's like giving me headaches. And we're in this fog. Then it's fucking frigid. We're locked like in this little room. You even go out into the shop. It is fucking so cold. I mean, it's in the 20s. It's freezing cold in the only room. And even the little heater thing was not being able to get it warm. I brought in one of those electric heaters yesterday. It was like, fuck, man. So fucking cold. No, I'm a wuss. Like, yeah, I'm no fucking winter badass. I'm a wuss. I'm a southern person. I never ever even wanted to live in the winter. And then when we ended up moving up to Washington State, then I had to get used to it. And I've got more used to the winter. Like I can, I can do it. I have like my brother, yesterday I was talking to him and he goes, well, you need to get what did he call them? Like some long underwear. I don't remember what he called them. And wear them under your clothes. And I said, I've been living in the winter for 34 years. I said, I've got all the winter wear. I've got all the stuff. This isn't my first go round. And this is its own kind of coldness. Like each place has its own kind of coldness, its own kind of vibe. And this one is definitely a moist, cold, foggy. Like it just is super cold. And sometimes, when it's a lot of snow, it kind of insulates. So it kind of makes it a little warmer, especially when the sun comes out. But sometimes in Spokane, it would be like the sun would come out, but it would be like 10 degrees. It would be really, really cold. But sometimes, the sun can come out and you can go out. Like, fuck, I've been out in the snow and stuff in a t-shirt. Here, it's like, fuck, man. I'm sitting in here, like my fingers are cold. I feel like I'm just cold to the bone, man. And I think it's the moisture. I don't know that it's that much moisture in Spokane like that. But over on the West Coast, when I was living over there, it was so much moisture. And it would, even like my first winter there, I just sat in the, like next to the heater, bundled up. I was freezing. I could barely even get up because it was like the same kind of thing. It was just this moist, freezing cold. And then anybody who would come visit me, they do the same thing. Everybody be like, oh my God, it's so cold here. So you can be in a cold place and then switch the type of cold and get all cold again. You can get used to your own cold, but then you go move someplace and it's like you gotta get used to it again. In the first winter, and then I've heard, some people on some of my shorts or whatever, like they're in Idaho too, and this isn't unusual. And they said, but it can really pop off in January and February. So the winter weather is not over. It's not like it's winding down. It can, pop off at any time. But fuck, when we were in Spokane, we had snow before in April. I was thinking it may have even snowed before in June. I know there was some place that it snowed in June. I remember it was Montana, Wyoming, Colorado. But I know I had seen some snowstorms in June since we've all been online watching other people's stuff. But we definitely had late snowstorms in Spokane. But Spokane we get tons and tons of snow. And like I said, it kind of insulates it. And then there would also be it wasn't as overcast. I swear to God, the winter was not as overcast. The sun could be out all the time. Here it is like so overcast. It's so cloudy. And it's weird how overcast and cloudy it is. And it doesn't rain or snow hardly. It just stays foggy. It's like, what in the world? So, I don't know. There's so much manipulation. And now one of those protective agencies trying to protect us is now put out a warning if you are in Oregon, California, Georgia, or Nevada, I think is the other one, that stay indoors. Now there's there's so much toxins in the air that they are very dangerous, and they are at a dangerous level, and it can take you out slowly or quickly, one way or the other. It's like, I think that's more than just there. I mean, here we've been under air stagnation warning for weeks. Every time I go on and look at the weather to see the temperature, it's air stagnation warning. And then when I had driven to the dog park and stuff, and I did some shorts tried to show that, like you can see the pollution. You can just see it. It's like, you see the level, like when you're farther out, you see like this level of pollution, then you see the air quality change up above. Like we're all just down in this breathing, this funk, which it's got to be the weight of the particles or something to be pushed down, or maybe they use cold air to push it down. I know fog is a mechanism of travel, so it can cling on. And then I know rain washes down, and then wind blows it. But there was probably something that pushes it to keep it, so it just stays in this way of being this layer. So anyways, but these couple of states that they're saying has got a problem, which one, like, how is it that they're over here and then Georgia's way over there? It's like Idaho's right next to Oregon, and we're in air stagnation, and so we're it's not concerning, but we're going to skip all the way over to Georgia. Like, what are you doing over there? Yeah, I don't know, all this bullshit, man. But but anyways, it was really on my mind too about how angry I see so many of these videos, and they're so angry, and they're so like even I don't know, Donald went to go tour Ford or something, and some heckler down there starts saying, you know, he's protecting the pedos or something like that. It's all such a show, man, I swear to God. And so he did something and he flips him off. I think it's kind of funny. You know, I just think it's kind of funny. Like the president. Fuck you. Like, I think it's funny. Because he's not like any other president we've ever had. But I don't know, there's some people who are so wound so tight that they want it, you know, like they're way more into a Newsom or somebody who just, you know, wears a suit and puts on a fake ass smile. They're more comfortable with that than the guy who's like more like us. So, but the weird thing is these haters started a GoFundMe for this guy. And he's got all this tons of money in this GoFundMe now for doing this, for saying that. It's like, oh, what? We got the guy who says, this younger person who says that he's going to go and go to DC and take care of business. And then he's got this huge GoFundMe going too. It's like, man, and people have got to see, like, you have got to it's like you got to be more forgiving. You got to, and all these things, like where people are so strung up and held back by their hate. But the thing is they think they're hating the right guy. They feel totally justified. They think that, you know, everybody who's not hating him, they're the problem. It's like, yeah, but we're in a time of hate being revealed as being low vibration. And when you are wanting to go to a higher vibration world, you cannot carry hate. You cannot carry bitterness. You cannot carry anger. And when it comes down to it, that's where you start to be able to, you have to start going in this sense of trust. It's like these people who think like it's okay to hate this ICE guy. And, you know, he's a bad guy. And now, of course, now suddenly, oh, he's in hiding and he's bleeding. He's got an internal bleeding happening. So, and these people still are like, you know, well, that's fine. Good for him. Good. They still don't see like this person who is going out and they're not caring about, you know, their own kids. They're not caring about anything. They're just trying to be disruptors to other people's job, what they're doing, without any, they think that they're full of empathy and compassion, but somebody, oh, this was released. This was interesting. So, of course, it's got to be released so that people can start seeing like who it is you're trying to protect. So you are going up against the ICE because you think they're doing something wrong. And they are, like I've been saying, you know, I mean, they're just getting people and sending them home. It's like, what? What? Like, we're going to go start hating the bouncers now? Like, what is going on? And so then, so now a list has come out of who it is that they have actually taken, who they've taken, and then said, so long, buddy. And they are people, all of the ones that were on this list, and there's more. The guy said there's so many, you can't even do them all. He was showing like mugshots and stuff like that. But all the ones he was listing have done SA or the RAPE of lots of women and children, lots. And that they are, that they were sent back. They've all been sent back after they got in trouble with their crimes, and they've been told that they have to return. And all of them have way overstayed that from 6, 8 years. And so these criminals, they're literal criminals who were supposed to take their pervy asses home and be dealt with in their own place, because whatever, that they're getting in their court things here, we let off these type of criminals, which I just saw another video of a guy talking about. I'll tell you that one in a second. It's a fucking fog. And so so you are out there going against these agents who are trying to get rid of these people who are hurting women and kids. Like, I thought aren't you trying to protect women and kids? But then the people who are hurting them, you're trying to protect them from the people who are trying to arrest them. Like, this is so twisted. And the people don't stop and think. They don't ever stop and look at it like, well, maybe, what if they are doing a good, what if they're doing something that's necessary? They just get told that it's, by these certain leaders, that it's bad, and they just go with it. Well, it's got to be bad. They said, Marine Waters said it's bad, so it must be. It's like, you guys, come on. And, go listen to the people who are getting taken. It's like, they're bad, man. We don't want them out here in the streets. We don't want them committing crime. And then even if they do go to jail, why should we be paying for them? Why should we be paying all this stuff for these people who just don't stop hurting kids? Like, come on, man. And so this guy that I saw this morning, this was a pretty long video too. And he, so he was a prisoner, and he was in for robbery. He said a lot of his robbery was against other criminals, but still, he said it's not good, and it's still bad. It's like bad energy. You shouldn't do it, and because you're still causing problems in the world, and it's their money anyways, even if they're criminals and stuff. So he, oh yeah, because there's another thing going on in Florida. Okay, I gotta remember about that one too. Okay, so he said that there's a whole system that goes on in the prison. Like he kept referring to it like this medieval kind of communication and system they got going. Like they even write notes to each other in urine, and then you have to hold the paper up to a match or something, and then it creates the urine to burn and show you the message. It's like, man, and who knew that? Like medieval times there. But so they have all these ways of communicating, because nobody can know what they're talking about, because the guards are involved, the nurses are, everybody's involved in this stuff. And so he said that they would say, he kept referring to it some about kiting. And so they would be notified of who's coming in. And then the certain people, they would have little meetings, and they'd say, okay, we got this guy coming in, and what are we going to do about it? And so he said he would raise his hand every time. He'd be like, I'll take care of it. And he said the other guys would always be like, you've only got like 7 years left. Why are you going to do it? And because a lot of those weren't getting out. And I don't know of, I think I think it's only the death row inmates that are isolated. I think lifers are still in with general population, so it's all different. People, you know, like you could have 10 years, you could have 5 years, you could have, you know, the rest of your life. And you could all be still in the same wing or whatever. I think it's only, in most of them, I think it's only the people who are facing the death penalty are the ones that have to stay in their own area. And so, but a lot of places don't have places to put the pervs. And so, oh, something's in my eye. So, so the guards would come and say, okay, this guy's coming, and they'd have this whole meeting, and he said they'd start doing these weird notes to each other, and they write them in urine, and it's this whole thing. And so he said this, he was telling the story about this particular one who had got brought in, and it was like his third round or something of going in for the same fucking crimes and keeps getting off. And he said some of them, it's the parents, and they pay to get these things handled. And so sometimes he said that they'll do it so that they get, you know, stuff bought for them, but that they, a lot of times they do it just because they feel like it's the right thing to do. Because these people keep getting off and going back out and then committing the same thing, coming in, go. It's just like this rotation that just goes and goes and goes. And so, so lots of them, you know, even that musician who was so horrible, he just lost his the other couple weeks ago or a couple months ago. And he was bad, man. He was bad. And so they don't give a shit. They don't give a shit if you're, you know, famous. Like, I mean, when I was listening to this, I was thinking about that, the Timothy Buzzfield or Busfield or whatever I think his name is, and which he's trying to victim blame. Oh, they are just mad because they got fired. It's like, oh my God, these guys are so, because this is his story that he had done, I think, on the other people too. So, so I mean, the guy's just a. So, anyways, but you go into a place with the cells, they don't give a shit. They, you know, what your status is, what your position is. You do the crime, you'll pay the time. And so they, and since it's such a rotation that they try and put an end to the rotation while they're in there, and the guards are involved and everything, and it's all through these notes. And then so in this one, he said that the scenario was going to be the guards were going to go get this fella, and they told him he had to go down to medical, and the guy was like, and the guy was in there, and he was an older guy, and he was taunting people, like he would taunt people, like you can't get to me, and you can't do anything to me, and stuff like that. And when they told him he was going to medical, he was like, I don't want to go to medical. But why do I need to go to medical? Like he knew, like, you don't want to go to medical. And so they said, nope, you got to go. Come on, we got to take you. And so they start taking him when they take this other badass guy who looks scary. And they're taking them both. And so the thing that he's supposed to use is there. It's planted by staff. And so, and they even have a whole storyline. It's all developed through their little weird medieval writings. And so the nurse is supposed to start screaming and act like that the chimo is chiming on her. And then this guy's rescuing her. And so, and who knows what they do with the you know, the WEAPON at the point of when it's done. But but he said when he reached down to see what it was, he said he's pretty sure it was a lock in a sock. And so as soon as she screams, he has to jump up, and then he has to, and he still got, you know, certain things restricting him, but he just took that thing and started just like bludgeon, and all over the guy's face. He said blood was spurting. He didn't say if the guy lived or died or whatever, but it was super violent, man. And that's not his only one. Like, I don't know if he's going to tell more stories about these kind of things, but it's just so crazy as how they're all involved, like all those staff and everything. And that's what he was like trying to get across to people. It's like, it's a whole fucking thing. And these guys come in, and the whole place is out to, they set up these stories. They set them up. Like, they put them in the shower and leave them and then bring in a certain guy. They have a certain guy pass them in the hall. And so it's all set up. They put out something for the guy to use and tell him where it's at, and then he's supposed to, whatever the little scenario that they cook up, that he has to do it. And so anyways, it was just kind of crazy. Like, I know that stuff goes on, but I didn't know that how much that the guards were all involved, and I didn't know that they're all having this medieval conversation, this communication going on. So anyways, it's a whole thing. It's like every reality has got its own reality, its own world. And I had said before, like, the prison is its own world, its own reality. And so, like, that girl who got the 100 years for setting up her, because she was like the nanny or whatever for these kids, and then she just took them over to be her boyfriend's victims. And then she got 100 years for that. And it's right at this period of time where realities are splitting off. And it's like, well, that's a whole reality in itself, and I will just go out and exist somewhere out there. And until those souls are released from it. So, and I don't know, And I think how you get yourself released is not good behavior. It's not through the system. It's through raising your vibration, because we're all essentially in some type of a prison until we raise our vibration and pull ourselves free. And so in this other situation, it is so in Florida, they want to legalize the WED. And but really, when they do that, it is, because they make it, oh yeah, well, it's legal, but you can't buy it from people who, it's against the law for them to grow it or sell it to you. Like, there's always still all these restrictions. So even if you are, this was the big thing in California. Like, it became a war, like around Humboldt or something. There was a big war kind of that went on about this, because these old growers did not want the government stepping in. They didn't, like, we don't need it to be legal. We're good. Go on with bed self. We don't give a shit about what you guys want, because of the control. And so, and then they went and they were like burning places down. Like, it was a big thing that went on. Like, there's a documentary about it, probably more than one. So anyways, when you live someplace where it is, then you can see. And the thing that I talked about before was, like, they have farms, but if they want certain things, because this is what they've done in the agriculture altogether, is then they put restrictions. If you want to sell your stuff, then you have to use their products. And their products are stuff that has got stuff in it, like, that we don't want. And so they control it. And so it's it makes it not as good for you. So where some people, like in Humboldt, they're just growing these plants and then figuring out how to really create a potent strain through their genetics, whatever, because they start becoming like experts on, like, mix this one with this one, and then you put this one close to this one and all this stuff. Like, so it's very sciencey. And then they can create like this really potent stuff. And they had worked on it for a long time. And so but the other who step in and start telling people, well, you've got to spray it. We can't be like, you can't, you got to spray this on it. You got to put this on it. Otherwise, you're not allowed to sell it at any of the stores. And so In Washington, it was the farms had to have licenses, and then the stores had to have licenses. And so it was kind of like you could get a farm one or you could get a store one. I don't think that they have any that are the farm and the store. And they could in other states. I don't know all the restrictions, but in Washington State, you got to either be a farm or you got to be a seller. And so the farms, though, they are overseen, I'm sure, with these agencies coming out, making sure that they're using this certain stuff. So all of the stuff starts having, like Roundup or whatever. Not that in particular, but we know how, like, that's so crappy for us now. That, and so now that they put all of that onto the stuff that is grown to be sold in under legal, government restrictions. And so now apparently in Florida, so they're trying to make it legal. And so now they're going after the dealers, like the same thing of like what happened in Humboldt or something. And so this guy who is a dealer, and he had been busted before. And so he got out of jail, went back, started doing his same thing again, and he was being watched by them or something. And so they just did a big bust on him the other day. And he was keeping his money in the wall, so they tore through all the walls, got all his money out, and stole his money, and put him back in jail, and gave him like 100 years or something ridiculous. And they so, but their whole thing is, like they won't let people, just regular people, sell, even though it's supposedly going to be legal or whatever. But anyway, so it's like this roundup and then thievery. So they just go in and steal all of this guy's money for something that they're trying to make is be legal anyways. It's so absurd. And that was something, that Donald was talking about, like we got to let these people out who are in for these certain things because of the absurdity. Like, I just saw another one, and this was a Navajo, or not a Navajo, I mean a tribe person, an Indian person, an American Indian, indigenous person, whatever. And he had done something when he was 19, and then they gave him 95 years for it, and something that's like you wouldn't be getting I mean, you got these child like going in and out, but so if it was like fucking stole a car or something when he was 19 or whatever, some stupid ass thing, and then they gave him 95 years, and he's been in for 13. And so there's a big movement to try and get him out because of the absurdity, but they go after certain people. And right now, this crime just happened, and it was 11-year-old boy. So 11-year-old boy got mad at his mom and dad because they took his remote away so he couldn't play with his video games. And no telling what he was doing. But so he decided, well, he was going to get into the dad's safe because probably that's where they put the remote. So he goes and he opens it. What he finds is one of these, and finds all the little things you need to use it. And so he loads it up and he goes in and just pops it off at his dad in bed, and just, direct hit. And so, and the mom was asleep, and she just heard a loud noise, and it woke her up, and she thought someone was doing fireworks. But she said then she started smelling something like burning, and then she heard something dripping, so she turned the light on, and it was her husband was the burning, and the dripping was his blood. And so he was already gone. And so the son, I think, went and called, and he called him, and he said that he just, or maybe it was when they were questioning him, but he said he killed his dad. And so it comes out that they adopted him a few years ago. So I maybe adopted him when he was around 5 or 6 years old. When you think about it, like any kid who's up for, it's the same thing as when you go to the shelters. a lot of these dogs have been abused and mistreated, and so they've got behaviors, and and so it's going to be the same thing with these kids. God, it was like I just got stabbed. So it's going to be the same thing with these kids, that something's happened to them. How'd they end up in the system like this? Something happened. And if they went through foster, well, that's like, fuck, man. There's so much stuff that has come out in the horrible reality of being a foster kid. It's like, dang, man. You used to hear some of the stories and you think, oh, this is probably rare. Now you find out, no, it's the most common thing out there. And so it's, and as a matter of fact, it's like a certain group of people who monopolize that industry. So it's like these certain people are out there who are, caring for these kids. And I don't know what these situation is with these people because they adopted him. So I don't know that they fought. I don't know anything about them. All I know is right now is that so they're going to charge this kid as an adult. He's 11 fucking years old. He's damaged from a system. And who knows, I mean, I know some people, when they get their kid like that they keep them in counseling and try and work on whatever their traumas are. And who knows, and then you don't even know, like, some of them, their parents did drugs. And you don't know what is, like, how their brains are affected being birthed from these druggies and stuff. And so, you got to be working with them or having somebody work with them. And because, if they can't handle, but we got freaking kids who are doing their parents in over this shit every week. Like, it just keeps going and going. And it, I think it has something to do with this addiction and this overstimulating the kids' minds. And so then when it's taken away from them, it's like they start shorting out. They can't process. So who knows what the deal is with this kid. But 11 years old to be charged as an adult is extreme. And they go after these orphan kids. I mean, that's like, even what I was talking about yesterday. And that is, just like the guy who was at the hospital. And as soon as they found out he didn't have anybody, it's like, oh, perfect. You're a target in this world. If you don't have somebody there, you don't have family, you don't have anybody. And so, but the thing that got me was the comments. I cannot believe how, people's attitude. It's just the same. Is these people who are, anti-ICE, hate Donald, like all of this fucking hatefulness, no compassion, no empathy. And all these people, well, he knew what he was doing. He deserves it. 11 years old, yeah, try him as an adult. Like, all of that kind of stuff is like, where is the compassion for, what is up with this kid? You just want to mark him right away as like evil at 11 years old when half of his life was spent who knows how. It's like, man, it wasn't like he was adopted as a baby. And even if they're adopted as a baby, some of those ones that are coming out as babies, like I said, are coming out of drug addicted parents. Their kids are taken away from them. And so into some, yeah, some of these are, because I'm seeing them taken away all the time. Somehow I'm in that algorithm. And some of them, just take their babies home and just start doing all sorts of horrible things to them. They don't feed them, they drop them, they do all sorts of things. Like, they're crying too much, put a pillow over their face. Like, so, you can still get a baby that has got like some type of a brain injury, some kind of damage done to their psyche or something that is long lasting, and they may not even know. But all the things, even when it goes back to it, it's all of our soul stories. Like, Every soul that comes in to interact with you isn't by accident. So there's, of course, always going to be more to every story, but we don't need all the more. We just need, the superficial. And it just is like, when you read all these comments and stuff, it's like, God dang, man, people are hateful. And people are just like, don't give a shit. And it really is like, there's so many people out there who are just like on their own and being judged all the time, and there's nobody there for them. Which I saw this kid this morning. Well, I don't know how old he was, maybe in his early 20s or something, but he was talking about when he was 13. And so he said that when he was 13, he was in the lunchroom with his friends, sitting there eating, and there was a girl who was sitting over by herself, and she was kind of heavier set and kind of quiet, and just sat by herself and didn't have any friends or anything. And so he told his friend, hey, let's go sit with her. And his friend was like, ew, why? And so he was like, I'm going to go do it. So he went over and he sat with her, and he's sitting there chatting with her and talking to her and just being nice to her and stuff. And then he says, he asks her what's her favorite snack, and she tells him that she loves Diet Cherry Coke and Twix bars. And they talk about her book. They're just sitting there chatting all through lunch. And so then he goes to the office, and he tells the office lady that he wants to do something nice for her, and if they could get this stuff and go put it in her locker. And he writes a nice little note and says, you're special. We're glad you're here, and something nice. And gets her a Dietary Coke and a Twix and puts it in a little bag and goes to take it to the locker. He said when he opens the locker, a note falls out. And so he decides to read the note. He said it was none of his business, but he did. And he said it was a note she had written to herself, just degrading herself, and horrible. He said it was horrible. And the things she wanted to do to herself, he said it was just horrible. It was really eye-opening to him, because he didn't know, like how bad she had it, or how bad it was for her. And so, and how much she hated herself. And so he puts the note back, puts the stuff in there, and then he goes and he kind of hides in the hall, and the bell rings, and she comes out. That's going to make me cry. So she opens the locker, and she gets out she sees the bag, she gets it out, and she sees this stuff. She reads the note, and then she starts crying. And so he, and keep in mind, he's 13. And he wasn't thinking very broad and through all this, so he's like, oh my gosh. And he felt like, he said it was the most heartwarming thing, that it fed into his soul. He felt so good inside of himself, and he was so happy. He wanted to do it again and again and again. So he started going around, and all the time he said he would go up to different people who were sitting by themselves at lunch, and he would ask if he could sit with them or talk to them. And he said some would say, yeah, sure. And he would get to know all sorts of people and find out about them and stuff. And then other ones, he would be told, get out of here. What do you want? Go away and stuff. So he had to like navigate through the different people's reactions, which he said gave him better social skills, because going and talking to all these different people. So we got more and more comfortable with rejection. So he didn't take it personally. And he also got better and better at talking to all sorts of people about all sorts of things, to the point where he ended up running for student council as a senior, and that he had gotten the second most votes of any other student in the history of the school. And so, which he attributed to going around and talking to people and being friendly and being nice and doing little sweet things for people and stuff to try and make people's lives better. And so he was doing his video to try and talk about kindness is free, and it feels so good when you do something nice for somebody, and how you can change somebody's life. He said after that happened with that girl, she started dressing better, she started feeling more confident. And throughout the years, they would sit and talk and stuff throughout different times and stuff, but he said her confidence grew, and she started exhibiting more of a confident person and feeling better about herself. And how we can so significantly impact people in a positive way or negative way. And it really depends on what the energy is that you want to bring to the table. And seeing that is a big part of what's happening in the world right now. It is the people who want to have a positive impact in the world. They want the world to be a better place. And it's kind of the way it's so upside down is because there's a lot of people who also, they think, got to get rid of IC, got to get rid of Dotleg and to have a better world. And they don't realize, like, that they're not seeing the whole thing, and they're making judgment calls, and they're spreading hate and division. And then, and they think everybody who doesn't think like them is a stupid idiot. And they don't realize, like, no, that's very toxic, heavy, dark energy that you are trying to bring forward. And it's not going to go. You want to have a better world. You want to have a place of peace and harmony and love. Then you got to start spreading that. And, and if Donald or the ICE or whoever in this world has got dark energy attached to them, or is bad or is negative, then the universe will take care of it. None of us need to take care of it. It's not our job. It's like the universe is going to do it. It's going to have a separation. It's not like that we got to be like telling the universe, oh, that guy over there, you better get him. It's like they know what the fuck they're doing. The universe knows what it's doing. It's by vibration. You cannot interfere. The vibration you carry is how you are traveling. You can't trick it. You can't pretend like you're a different vibration than you are. You have to exhibit it. You have to become it. You have to be it. And so there's nothing that any of us need to do to be like, we need to get rid of that guy and then we'll have a better world. We need to get rid of this one so we can have a better world. It's like, no, the universe has got it going on. They know what the fuck that's going on, and we don't need to do shit. It's going to all happen naturally. And that's where you got to start moving into this idea of trust, and letting things go. It's like, the people are going to do it to themselves. If they're held back, it's because they're held back by their own belief system, their own ego. But mostly it's their ego. But they hold themselves back. And so that's where, and then when, and if it's people who we know and stuff, that's where you got to just let go. You can try and spread, your beliefs and stuff. But when people are just resistant and they don't want to hear it, it's like, well, and they have more things to go learn. And it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing to go back into other lives and learn, because that is the key to the soul, is the development. And they have just as much right to go develop in all the ways that we feel that we've developed in, So, and we've all gone through all different life cycles to learn what we've learned. And so, and then in this one, there's so much of, looking crazy to the rest of the world in order to become the best version of you, to love yourself and to, see the truth, speak the truth, be the truth, live the truth, and a lot of people can't handle that. They're very restricted into expectation that is being bled into our society by these people who try and control it through their lies and the made up bullshit. And I just saw this one guy, he's always talking about the aliens and stuff, and he's always, talking about the ships and all that stuff. So he said that what he had just found out was that, so in Mexico, there's a bunch of beings from somewhere else, and they're on a base, and they're there they want to be there. It's not like they're being held prisoner or something. And then their ships are cloaked over, like, where a lot of people have been saying that they see ships over, like, Pendleton Air Force Base and stuff like that, over, like, by Florida. So that they've got ships over there, and they're over here, and they're just hanging out, and that they've said that they're here to help humanity expand their consciousness. And an expansion of your consciousness is where you're supposed to learn to have compassion and love, because you got to start looking at things in a bigger way. And so they're here to help us with that. And they said the thing is that the people who can accept them will see them, and the people who can't accept them won't see them. I was like, man, that's pretty trippy. Like, you can be standing there looking and talking to somebody, and then nobody else can see them, but you can see them because you believe in them. But I've said that before. It's like people's own belief system keeps them in a restriction. Like, people, like, because I've said before, all like this just stuff is around us, like ghosts are around us and stuff. And then people who say, well, I don't believe in ghosts. Okay, well, then you probably won't see any, but that doesn't mean they're not there. Because there's plenty of us who do see them. There's plenty of us who can hear them. There's plenty of us who can, it's like, to me, it's like I get like a vision in my head of not just of them, but of like their story or something. It's like I all of a sudden, like, I know their story. It's weird. And but it's and then I have an awareness of them. I can feel their presence. And then when they make their presence known through like moving things and stuff, like, I know like what they're, it's them. But there's people who are in just total denial of all that stuff. But it will be, I think, really cool for some of these people to start being seen. But yeah, it makes sense to me. If you don't believe in it, you won't see it. But for those people who do believe in it, they will get opportunities to see them and talk to them and stuff. So we'll see. There's supposed to be that one lady who was talking to the Pleiadians and the Galactic Federation or whoever. I was talking about her like last week or something. She said with the things that were going to happen each month. And she said that at one point, that we're going to be interacting with them, and they're going to be helping us and talking to us. And there's going to be these ambassadors, like these go-betweens, which a long, long time ago, I had a reading with Daniel Scranton, and mine was talking to the Arcturians, because he talks to these different ones. So mine was the Arcturians, and they told me that I was going to be an ambassador at this time. And I was like, I wasn't really sure what that meant at the time, because it was a long while ago. Now I see what they're talking about. There's going to be people who are like in between or go-betweens or translators or something. People that show like there's nothing to be scared of. So we'll see, because now I'm hearing this ambassador thing go around a lot more often. I'm hearing more people say there's going to be ambassadors. And so I don't know. I just was told a long while ago that I was going to be an ambassador at this time. So I don't know what it's going to be, but I think it would be exciting. Like, I thought, Corey Good, like, his was very controlled through the military and stuff. But, God, he got to have an opportunity to talk to all sorts of these ones. But also, though, he was also talking to ones that is, like, in a time of war, kind of, like, he's talking to prisoners of war kind of stuff. Ones that are being held or whatever. And then the aquatic beings, he said, were so angry. And now to learn all of this stuff about the battle that goes with the rich people catching the mermaids and stuff, and eating them and stuff, then it's like, well, you guys caused this, where's the respect for other living beings? Like, I saw a fucking dish the other day, and it was, I think it's in Korea or something, and it was, the dish is there, and then got all the, this fancy looking thing on it, and it's moving. And I'm like, oh my God. And the guy's like, would you eat this? And I know that they eat a lot of moving food. I've seen a lot of videos where some of it is like, what is that? Are they eating like giant worms? What is that? This was a living fucking octopus. So they're eating a live octopus, a little live octopus, not tiny, more like as big as your hand. And he said in the comments that he did eat it. And I was like, hell no. And especially an octopus, that is like a you want to think of an alien, a being from somewhere. That is one. Like, they're intelligent. And, man, Can you imagine if they just laid us out on a plate and we're going to eat you while you're alive? It's like, God, have some, oh my God. I swear to God. Humans really do have, like, fuck. They really do need to evolve. They really do need to gain some compassion and some empathy and some, this opening their mind to the other creatures, the other living beings, in value and the intelligence. And it's like, God dang, man. So, anyways, but I had heard about that there's also a dish somewhere over in Asia, I'm not sure, but that they will put, there's these tables, and they've got this hole in the table, and that so that they put a monkey in, so the monkey is under, and then it's trapped in this hole, and then they cut the top of their head off and eat their brains while it's motherfucking alive. It's a delicacy. It's like, what? How do we even come up with this shit? It's like, what the fuck? Oh, damn. God. Like, you think about them eating, you know, certain people eating like, that's like a, man, this place is a dog-eat-dog world, I'll tell you. Fuck, dude. I'll be glad when we get to this, you know, new world where there's more compassion. I don't give a shit. Fucking, I don't even know we want to eat flowers. Flowers are living. Flowers are happy. But if the flowers are fairies, I'm good with just eating some kind of minerals. And I'll be glad, like, I know, hopefully when we go into those med beds or something, it'll turn off this hunger drive in our systems. Because really, when it comes down to it, you're a hologram. You're not really real. And which there's this study this guy did too. And so he wanted to show that you could eat junk and lose weight. And because they, you know, they try and tell us, we got to eat right, you got to do this, you got to do all this dieting and all these things in order to lose weight. And so his diet was like, it's called the Twinkies diet, but so it was Twinkies, which was so bad for you, and Doritos. Like, he was picking the worst of the worst kind of shit, and eating it. And he lost like 28 pounds, and however long, I don't remember how long the study was. I think it was maybe a couple of months, could have been 6 weeks or something. He lost 28 pounds and more things. I don't know. I can look for that video too. But he said the thing is just creating a deficit. So it doesn't matter what you eat, you can still lose weight. And I've said that before, because I said, you know, I mean, I eat tons and tons of cookies and shit like that. And so it's just, you know, to eat less calories than what it is. It's like, just because you eat cookies or cake, if that's your diet choice, that doesn't mean you won't lose weight. It is, but you just got to find where you have a deficit over how much energy you burn to compared. And then it kind of fluctuates, like, because right now it's like, fuck, I'm in hibernation. I should probably not even be eating at all, but here I am, my stomach's growling. So but you got to kind of monitor yourself, because how do you really find out how much calories you're burning? Because it fluctuates, you know, how much you're actually burning. So you got to just kind of pay attention. And to me, it's like my body tells me. My body will be like, oh, really? You're going to go? You're going to eat another one? Because I think you're kind of you're overkill at this point. You know, you need to slow it down. And so it will give you signs. It will tell you, like, warning, warning, the red light's going off, like, you've eaten enough, stop now. So, but a lot of people, you know, they don't want to listen to that. They think that's my guilt. That's my guilt that's talking to me. It's like, oh, well, I guess we can all look at it however we want to look at it. And then your body, you know, if it's talking to you through your guilt, is still trying to tell you something. Still trying to say, hey, you've had enough. If you don't want to gain weight, you better stop here. So, but you got to, you know, like, listen to the factory. You got to listen to the what it's telling you. And so, and the more you tune into it, the more. But anyways, yeah, you can eat whatever the fuck you want. You can eat cheesecake every day and lose weight. You just can't eat, you know, cheesecake and a cheeseburger and a steak and you know, all that shit. you got to, you know, decide what you're eating and, you know, eat it. You know, you know, this is another thing too, is I saw this video. It popped up in this thing, and this guy went and got this big red velvet cake. There's 4 layers or something. He has this huge red velvet cake, and he's eating it. He's eating the whole fucking thing, and he sits there and eats the whole thing. And he says, well, he wanted to see if he could do it, and so then you go and you look at all his videos. All his videos are eating whole entire cakes. It's like, man, I in some of those store-bought cakes, like the amount of sugar and that frosting and stuff, is like, oh my God. I mean, the stores and stuff like that will add a lot more stuff in to make something taste good. Like when you're cooking at home, you know, you may be like, oh, well, it says to put 2 sticks of butter, but I think I'll just put 1. You know, it says put 2 cups of sugar, but I think I'll just put 1.5. Like you'll kind of like, you know, cut back sometimes on what the store's not going to cut back, and they're going to put all that stuff in there. And then you're like, oh, it tastes so good. But it's like, man, it's, like I was like, are you trying to commit suicide for views? Like, what are you doing, dude? It's like, why would you do this? Why would you go and get these giant cakes and eat the whole thing every day and then videotape it? Is like, God dang, man, the attention seeking, like, you know, when you think so much about the attention seeking too, then you got to go to the other side of that. We got a lot of lonely, desperate people out in the world. They're lonely, they're desperate, they're just looking for something. They don't even know where to look or how to look. They're just trying to figure themselves out, find themselves, get some attention. You know, are they here? Do they really matter? You know? But what it comes down to is you got to matter to yourself. You got to find your own presence. You got to find value in you. And don't go trying to do crazy things to just get people to notice you. It's like, God dang, that just seems so unhealthy. And like I just said, you know, I know you can eat unhealthy stuff and lose weight, but eating a whole entire cake, he even said how many calories it was. I mean, you're eating like 4,000 calories or something, and that's not even counting all the fat and sugar and what that's doing to your system, your liver, your kidneys, all your organs, and not getting any nutrition at all. But anyways, it's a fine line on this nutrition thing, because what are we? You know, we're like a system that represents it's a feedback system in this environment. So, and it's all an illusion. So I don't know. I mean, do what you want. Maybe this guy's here to prove to us, like, hey, you can eat a cake every day and it's no big deal. Like, well, I don't know how many of us really want to eat a whole entire cake. I mean, I think, you know, eat a piece of cake. Yeah, that would be, you know, nice. Every day, eat a cake, because I really like sweets. I really like baked goods and stuff. But to eat a whole cake, that just seems like extreme. So, I don't know. Anyways, and I've been talking a long time. So, but I am going to go eat some of this muffin that I got. You know, when I went to get water the other day at Safeway, when I went to pick up Stella's meds, that they had their muffins marked, buy one, get one free. So I decided, oh, I think I'll get the muffins. And so I went to look and find the chocolate chip ones. And so I got 2 of them. And then I ate some, and it has a weird taste. It has a really weird taste. So, I don't know. Who knows? Like, they probably have to put more additives right now. I mean, it seems like the powers that be are really want to get us sick. I don't know. Like, it's really like, you know, is it because they're really hoping to wipe out a lot of people while they aren't awake, so that they can keep them trapped in their realm of existence? Because once we step free and pull ourselves out of their realm, in the awakening and pull ourselves into a world that we want to exist, that we want to build, that's based on love and unity and freedom, that's pulling free from theirs. And so are they just, trying to wipe out everybody so that they can keep them trapped before they wake up? Because it kind of seems like that. So anyways, I don't know. I mean, every day is some crazy shit. So we'll see what today brings. And but definitely in all of the things, like, I can't even stress it enough of how much people need to work on themselves, and it's being displayed to us all around and what's going on in the world. And it really is like, it's low vibration. If you're not trusting the universe to be able to handle its business and be able to recognize what's low vibration, high vibration, and you think it's up to you to weed through it and wean out, who gets to go to the new world or something. It's not up to you. And if you think that you need to take that on, well, I guess you got more lessons to learn. Is really what you need to do, is learn how to love everybody. Learn how to love yourself, learn how to love everybody, and learn how to have the day you want to have. Even in a time of chaos, you got to learn how to focus on the good stuff, but notice the bad stuff. You can't just ignore it. You can't put your head in the sand and just think, oh, like, if I just ignore it, it'll all go away. No, there's shit going down. Like, a lot of shit going down. So anyways, but you got to learn how to let it go. That's what you got to do. That's raising your vibration, learning how to let it go and put it in perspective. Like, this is above my pay grade. This is their soul story. This is this soul story, So anyways, but we'll see what today brings us to overcome and to like to rethink, but we'll talk about it tomorrow. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.